Live. Good evening.
Live.
We are live. As you can see, it's the three amigos. Number 4 will join us shortly, I believe. Ian's running a little bit late, so I'm taking over for the evening. So if anyone wants to send in any comments about Ian before he can see them, feel free. The comment sections are open. We'll do our best to read them out as long as they're nice. So this evening, I, Mike, am joined by Mark Holloway, avocado partner for Yateley in North Hampshire, and Matt Pulford, avocado partner for Wokingham area. Good evening, gents.
Good evening.
How are we doing?
Very well, very well. How are you?
Good. Very good. Very shiny, apparently.
Oh, okay.
Other than that.
Yeah,
that
lights okay.
Flavors.
I've been in the sun all day.
Not the real sun. You can tell I haven't been in the sun all day. Anyway, moving on swiftly, there's a few topics that we've popped on our link this evening, but I'm just going to interject with one first up. I've been on my own personal social media with a little bit of a fish this afternoon, asking about the spring statement from Rishi Sunak. I thought he'd swung for the fences, dropped taxes, increased national insurance amounts, dropped petrol prices, and was in the plan of dropping a percentage point off your income tax, which has never happened in my lifetime. I thought that was a massive change, and he's been absolutely hammered on social media. So what's everybody else's take on it?
Well, petrol, he's not touched petrol. He's touched the fuel duty, hasn't he? It's down to the petrol companies to drop the price, and they're not doing that in a hurry by the looks of it. So he's not really helped us out there at all.
Is that his fault, though? Can he do anything about that?
Could cut VAT on fuel.
But would the fuel company do exactly the same thing, just move their own prices up?
I think if they cut VAT as a government tax, so with the price of fuel itself, they could keep the same.
Fair point. What about on tax? What about on personal tax? The VAT change and change to income tax, which is incoming.
I think the bigger concern from a lot of people, and I've seen it written into the news today, where I think Rishi Sunak had quite a challenging conversation with a lady that had a couple of kids and had literally about £15 a week to live on. And I can understand that, because 5p fuel duty doesn't cut it when you've only got 15 quid in your back pocket to spend on food, and whether you put your heating on or whether you don't put your heating on. The difficulty is that there isn't an endless pot of money, especially with everything that COVID orientated over the past couple of years, which has caused us issues with not having the funds available to be able to support the people that need it. That's challenging in itself, but let's open this question up to you two. What do you think he could have done differently? I mean, I actually don't know. There's a lot more that he could have done, other than made widespread, bigger reductions, which, in truth, we're already going to be paying back COVID for the next, God knows how, forever. No, let's be realistic with it, but certainly for the next 10 years. Do we really want to be adding any more to the debt, or do we need to be trying to be a bit more cautious at the moment? I know I'm trying to be a bit more cautious, certainly it helps when the weather's better. But I do understand the challenges of a lot of families out there that are seeing council tax prices rise and fuel costs go up. And I mean, I drove past and I had to fill up, but £1.85? Probably completely the wrong place to fill up, but it was
yearly, mate.
It's still expensive. Hello, Ian. Nice of you to join us.
Hello.
No one came in with any slagging you off for being late, by the way. So that was nice of you. Mike absolutely offered it out, but no one came back with it. I think they got too much respect for you, in truth.
Apparently,
I got stuck in the
feared man, the Dogfather.
Got stuck in the pharmacy picking up medicine for a 5-year-old. What's there to say that's bad, eh?
No, totally right. I'm with you. But I do think there's a challenge. I mean, how much more can? Sorry, Ian, just in case you're coming into this right at the end, we're looking at the Rishi Sunak statement and people sort of belittling him over social media at the moment, and working out what actually could have been done to try and satisfy a lot of people's concerns over fuel bills, petrol costs, everything else that's gone along with it, how much more could he have done with the rising debt that's going on with COVID and everything else that's going on in the world?
I've got one question which someone who's watching might be able to answer, because I don't understand, is my heating bill, I think, is going to go up by about £400 this year, which is probably average. Massive fuel companies and energy companies are making the biggest profits they've ever made whilst telling people that fuel bills are going through the roof. I don't understand how that equates, and how they get away with making 5 billion quid whilst adding £400 to my gas and electricity bill. I presume they'll make 5 billion next year. So if there's someone out there who can translate why energy prices got so high during COVID and are going higher now, other than the Ukraine thing, and why energy companies are allowed to whack their prices up just to increase their profits, they can let me know. But we can get into property now. Now there's the four of us. We've got our agenda for the evening, which these guys are all keen to talk about. The first point was EPCs and why are they important for buyers. Now, that probably ties into what I've just said about my energy bill going up by 400 quid a year. But why are EPCs so important to buyers, guys?
A lot of it's to do with mortgages nowadays, isn't it? The mortgage companies are putting their foot down.
Creeping in.
Yep, indeed. That's, if your EPC, the property you're looking to buy, if the EPCs, is it below D nowadays? The mortgage company get very twittery.
Well, on a buy-to-let, they're getting itchy below a C, because there's rumours that they're bringing in further regulation from the Department of Levelling Up, what a government department that is, to make landlords prove that they can let property which is a EPC band A, B or C. I've only ever seen about 3 A's in my entire life, so anything that's a B or a C. The average in the UK is a D, so mortgage companies are trying to make it a little bit more expensive if the property is inefficient, on the basis it might not be worth as much as it once was, or might not go up in the same line of inflation as others.
I think it's future proofing. I think that's the main thing when it comes to lenders and how they look at things. That's where they struggle with certain levels of leaseholds. When I started in the industry, anything over about 72, 73 years was a problem. Then it went to anything over 80, under 80 years, I should say, was a bit of an issue. And now it kind of seems that anything below 90 is a fair issue from the lender's perspective. And I think because most mortgage lenders used to lend on 20 and 25-year mortgages, whereas now most first-time buyers are taking out 35-year terms on their mortgage. So as a result, they're looking at things, 30 years, there's a lot can happen. Are we going to be allowed to have E-level energy efficiency properties in 30 years' time or 20 years' time? Absolutely not. Is there going to be a petrol car on the road? Probably not. So it's so different now to the future-proof because the speed of technology and environmental change, I think. So that would be my view on it. What's Luke got to say on LinkedIn?
Speaking of future-proofing,
yeah,
Luke's well known in the surveying world and contributes quite a lot. So evening, Luke, talking about what they think the future pricing might be. So they're pricing now for what their costs are going to be in a couple of years' time, which is a fair point.
Yeah,
they don't know, I guess, where things are going to go, especially with things in Ukraine and Russia being a massive supplier of gas. So it's got a part of the reason, isn't it? But I feel like those prices were going to go Ukraine or no Ukraine, but maybe
Matt, do you think buyers look at EPCs, Matt? Is it ever something that's brought up with you when you're doing viewings and stuff like that? Does anyone say, "Oh, what's the EPC rating?"
I've had it a bit more recently because of the cost of fuel that's going up. So
yeah.
the reason why I wanted to discuss it was because I think it's more on people's minds at the moment, especially if they're leveraging themselves quite high from a mortgage perspective, so that they're getting as much as they possibly can at the rates that they are. They're future-proofing the future investment in their cost. So 5 years' time, if interest rates are at 2 to 2.5%, and we're paying 2.5% to 3% on our mortgage rate, at that point, alongside everything else being more expensive, then I think it's a very valid concern to just try and keep the costs at a sensible level now, whilst you're trying to protect yourself for the future. So buying a property that's a band E or an F, people do it because they like the period properties. A lot of people don't really care too much about it because they want to buy the property that suits their needs here and now. A lot of the Victorian properties in Wokingham, for example, you won't find them much above an E, maybe D or E, and that's if you're lucky. So I think the reason why there's such a drive towards new builds at the moment, from a lot of people's perspective, they're paying a little bit more at the outset, but they know they're jumping into a property that's going to keep sustainable or more sustainable based on cost for the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
So talking cost, talking buyers, talking mortgages, is silly season for prices coming to an end? What do we think, chaps? Ian, looking at it from the top.
Excuse me. I was looking today, actually. The full sale boards are staying for sale for a bit longer than they used to. It used to be for 3 or 4 days, and you suddenly see a sold sign up.
I saw a statistic today, Mark, that this is as of yesterday from a sort of industry data guru, if you like, and he said, as of today, as in yesterday, in the last 30 days, 6 out of 10 properties are still for sale that were listed on Rightmove and Zoopla. So 60% of things didn't sell in 30 days. But I know we're not experiencing that because I'm also a bit of a data geek, and I can see that from the statistics with the avocado listings. But to not blow our own trumpet and talk about in general, it does seem that properties are not selling as fast. Mark, do you think that's because estate agents, when they have less stock, go a little bit bananas on pricing just to sort of get the figures up, or do you think there's less buyers?
So.
What do you
very
reckon?
much so. I've been seeing it a lot recently.
Yeah.
The valuations, and I cannot overvalue. I will not overvalue. It's totally, utterly, completely against my principles. I will tell you the truth. I'll tell you what I think. And I've seen a property that's come to the market £75,000 more than I valued it at.
Yeah.
Which I just find absolutely unbelievable. The owners got their expectations up. Lovely couple of owners. And they just said, Mark, we've got to give it a go. And the company said they can do it. They've got viewings booked. So fine, go ahead and do it and come back to me when you can't sell.
Mike, we saw that one this morning in Bracknell with a company called Strike that's, very much an internet agent, the new purple bricks, if you like. And I've never brought them up before, but I'm going to bring them up now because it's a disgrace in terms of the way that they run their estate agency with carrot-led manipulation to the seller that apparently it's free. It's not free. You pay for it down the long run. But we've got a property that in Bracknell that's probably worth 420, 425 at absolute tops, and it's been listed at 550. It's a 3-bed mid-terrace in Bracknell at £550,000. I mean, the advice, the consultation, and the information that's been given from that estate agency to that vendor is an absolute disgrace to our industry. It's a disgrace. And people that say estate agents all do the same thing, well, there you go. We don't all do the same thing because the statistics don't lie. And for me, that is where this industry goes a bit bonkers, goes a bit bananas through desperation. And I don't know what you guys think about it, but I saw that this morning and I was livid. I was absolutely livid because I just think it's a joke.
Yeah, I think the point that needs to be made is that it's not an estate agency service that you're getting. You're getting access for sale by owner, basically, because that person has absolutely no motivation to sell your house whatsoever. Just charge you for the board to go up, charge you for the photos to go on the website, charge you for this, that, and the other, charge you to sign up to their solicitors and whatever it is however it is they make their money, which, by the way, they don't make money, they make a loss. They made a loss of about 8 million quid last year, somewhere in that region on the last report. So they don't make money, but it's all fed by investors. The fact is, it's not an estate agency in my eyes. It's called, I don't know what they call it. It's called Strike, but you can whack your house on the market for whatever you like, and the market will sell it. It won't. £550,000 for a standard 3-bedroom terraced house in Bracknell, we're talking silly season. If that sells, it makes me a millionaire. And I'd love to be one, but I ain't, let's be honest. And it's happening more and more, where I just think if your sole job in estate agency is to list property, and you have a target to list property so you get paid your bonus or your commission or whatever it is, you don't have your client's best interest at heart, because all you're trying to do is getting them to sign here, press hard is the old adage, and then leave, because you don't care if they sell it or not. And that is clearly what's happened there.
You've got some reputable businesses in towns doing it as well, that have been around for a while, built a really good market leading business off the back of providing the right advice to people, putting properties onto the market and selling them and achieving near as damn at the asking price. There's a couple of businesses in Wokingham at the moment that are, I mean, I've seen it 2 or 3 times in the past month, where properties, one 4-bedroom started off the market in Embrook, £750,000, 4-bedroom detached house, and then came down to 700 10 days later, and then came down to 650 10 days later than that, and then sold. Yeah.
What frustrates me, Matt, is the neighbours. That's the worst part about it, because when this happens, when you get this like absolute unicorn figure out of nowhere, all the neighbours are so confused with what's going on and what things are worth. Some of them are realistic and they go, look, that's crazy. Some of them are like, wow, is the property worth that much money? It just confuses the life out of the market, and it confuses the life out of buyers as well. And it's just the worst thing that can happen to the industry. What often happens with the traditional agents, I find, and I know we're going a little bit off topic here, but what I find happens in the new year, the staff will change around, or someone leaves and someone else comes in that's got a CV where they've done the job for 15, 20 years, but never in the town. It's just they're an estate agent, so they bring them in because it's easier to do it. So they don't have a clue on the prices. For me, it's another reason why the industry has to have some regulation, because valuer, it's on a business card. They don't know the prices from Adam. Let's be honest. They just don't. If they've just come in, they've never worked in the town, they don't live in the town, they've just got a CV with 15 years experience, they're not a valuer. They're an estate agent going out there to do a sales job on you, like a double glazed salesman. That's all it is. And I think it needs to get spoken about more in the industry, because people buy into a brand, they buy into a company that's been there and established, but is the person established that you're dealing with directly, or is it just a name above a door and a for sale board? I don't know what you think, Mark, because you're born and bred Yateley, you've got 25 years worth of industry experience. You're going out and speaking to other estate agents, or you're going out and speaking to clients that are talking to other agents, but a lot of those agents are on a merry-go-round, aren't they, in Yateley?
Yeah, they are. It's very much the case. I mean, it's always happened. Until there is regulation, it always will happen. And it's done by people who don't know the market. They're scared that they're going to lose property. They're not going to get the instruction. They're not going to meet their target. They're going to get a clap right in the head because they failed to meet their monthly target. It's typical estate agency. It's the bully boys from above. You're the manager. You're in there. I want 16 instructions a month. Go get them. I don't care how you do it. Just get them. Make sure people sign that bit of paper, and I can get it across the head office and say, look, this is how good we are. It's always going to happen, but people are wise to it, especially I like to think in Yateley, because we're a very close knit community. And if somebody says, "Oh, my house has just come to the market for this much," if it's too much, people will query it straight away. They'll query it, and I think you'll find when it doesn't sell, a lot of people will turn around to that person and say, "Look, we told you so. You need to be talking to such and such, preferably me, of course." I think it's the market's going to calm. I'm pretty sure it's going to calm down, and we're going to start seeing. Again, you'll start seeing the really good estate agents coming through. The people who've been holding people's hands, guiding them through. Okay, we'll be there. as we
banks
always have
are
been.
starting to move those interest rates on now, so I think that might just curb people's enthusiasm, if that's the right word, to pay big money for a house whilst supply is still really limited. People look at what they can afford on a monthly basis. Council tax is up, utilities are up, mortgage payments will start to slide up slightly, so that might just mean that people just taper what they're willing to spend on their mortgage on a monthly basis and just start holding prices back to stop them going up by this £10,000 a month that it feels like it's going up by, which is the silly season that we're talking about. Speaking of your experience, and you're born and bred not born and bred, I think you're from the South Coast, but
I am, I'm Southampton born.
Repurposed Yateley local, Mark. Let's talk about something positive about what you're doing in Yateley.
Yeah, it's very obvious to me that with the bills going up, fuel going up, and people are going to be starting to struggle. And something happened the other day. Local Parent Teachers Association had to put out a call for Easter egg donations so they can have their annual Easter egg raffle. I thought, well, this really shouldn't be happening. You know, these people shouldn't have to put it out into the big wide public. They should be able just to go to the people in the school and say, we're looking for donations. But then, of course, you think about it, people haven't got the money. So I come up with the idea that basically every property I sell in Yateley, the seller can nominate a school or food bank, and I will give a percentage of my take to the school, to the Parent Teacher Association. Go out and buy the food for the food bank. We do have a food bank in Yateley. It's getting more and more popular, I'm sorry to say. But I think it's very important that local businesses that can help support the local people who are struggling. And a lot of those people won't come forward, but the schools know the children. Okay, and the schools can point the parents in the right direction. They can have a quiet word here, quiet word there. And, you know, so long as I don't want to see schools calling out for Easter egg donations for their yearly raffle. Okay, I want them to come to me and say, Mark, is there anything you can do to help us? I'll say, if I can, yes, we can do this. If I can't, you know, I'll put my hands up and say I can do this, but I can't do all of it on my own. But I think as a local business, I really, really, really want to be seen helping out local causes, local schools. And my Jack Russell's just gone straight across my lap.
Yeah, I love that, Mark. It's a great idea, and it just shows the character of the person that sees a problem, finds a solution that they can impact and action. So yeah, absolutely love that, Mark. I think it's a great idea, and I think more community-led stuff like that is exactly what small businesses and large businesses can help in their communities with, rather than sort of burying your head in the sand, do something about it. So yeah, love that. And I know Matt, you've got stuff that you're working on actually while we're on this subject as well, that you do with charity-led stuff from your agency too, and you've done a couple of events for that benefit as well. But do you want to talk about kind of some of the stuff that you're doing in Wokingham while we're on the subject?
Yeah, mine's probably a bit more broader than more local. Mine's very much an individual based. How to articulate this? Okay, so yeah, it's something that happened to me a little while ago, which a lot of people that watch this or know me will know the reasons why. But I support a business called Tommy's, which is to do with child loss, stillborn, all the nasty things that no one likes to think ever happen. So £100 from every sale, every completion I do goes towards Tommy's charity. And it's just that little way of giving back, because like you, Ian, I've done multiples of events running wise, and it's when you're constantly asking for money through charity, it gets a bit not tedious, but it gets a bit too much sometimes when you're doing something every 6 months. I mean, like around London Marathon a couple of years ago, I did Wokingham Half Marathons, have probably raised £15,000 on my own towards Tommy's and other local charities that support the same work. But like Mark, it's all about just doing that little bit that you can give back to them, and every bit of money helps just a little bit more insight and knowledge and just a bit more understanding on the situation, which I think is very important. So yeah, no, I think like Mark, I think it's just the little bits that you can give back. It doesn't need to be a lot. If everybody did a little bit, we don't need to completely control the full donations from me to Tommy's or from Mark to the PTA in Yateley for the schools that are there. It's just if everybody can do their little bit, it makes a massive difference. And there's us doing our little bit.
Yeah, love that. It's great, isn't it, Mike?
It's to kick up the arse we need, Ian. Ian does well. I say we, maybe me. Ian's raised thousands of pounds, done lots and lots of things through his ridiculous charity-led sports actions, marathons, ultras, all sorts of 24-hour running races, that kind of thing. That Ian and I partnered up with the Cowshed earlier in the year, and we're just sort of in the process of making sure what we offer and what we do for them is relevant and has the kind of impact that we want to have it impact to. So some really good shout outs for charities on here. The Yateley Food Bank, I would guess there's a huge proportion of locals that don't know it exists, because these things are a little bit invisible to you on a daily basis when you're ferrying your kids around and going into work and this, that and the other. It's a good shout out for maybe the sort of locals of Yateley to say it does exist, and I'm sure they're in need of things. For Tommy's, which is an awesome charity looking after people in that way, and for the Cowshed, who Ian and I looking to partner with, who do almost everything for everyone in vulnerable people, in housing them and helping them set up their lives. So if anyone wants any more information on those sorts of things, as ever, the comments are always open. You don't have to be live on these links.
Should we talk property, because we're getting close to the end of the financial year? And I think back to 3 months ago, I know Matt, Mark, Mike, we were different people jump on these every week, but we were talking about what we thought would happen to the market this year, and we felt like it would be still buoyant and still kicking off, but just a little bit calmer than it was last year. Up until this point, I haven't felt that way. I felt like it's been equally as crazy as last year, if not more crazy, because there's been a siphon of less properties on the market, which has created more of a panic buying scenario. I do think, like you said there, that we might see with interest rates changing that ease up. But as of yet, as until this week, I haven't seen any major hikes in the prices of mortgages or the interest rates. But this week they have gone up in some chunky sort of ways. What's interesting though, they've gone up chunky for the 60 and 70% loan to values, still a 90% loan to value, a 10% deposit, obviously directed at first time buyers. Still crazy low, still under 2%. So what's interesting is the lenders are putting up the big chunky equity remortgages and almost the bump to bump move mortgages, but the first time buyer mortgages are still really low. So I don't know if that's going to help the market, because it's effectively going to stop people upsizing and fuel the bottom of the market. So we're just going to have more chain blockage. It's good news for new homes, I guess, because if first-time buyers have got cheap mortgage options and they want something with no chain, then they're going to buy new build potentially. But I don't know the answer at the moment, but I'm interested to know what people think for the rest of, for the next financial year, should we say the next 12 months? What do you reckon, Matt?
I think it's an interesting comment, and Mike will know where I go with this when I talk about landlords releasing properties and there being less property out there to rent, because that's generally your lower end of the market, 1-2 bedroom houses or flats that are up to 300,000, then fuels the first time buyer market. With everything that's changed in the landlord sector over the past 5+ years, I think there'll be a real change if that's. I mean, those rates that you were looking at earlier, what was 60%? I mean, the one that was released earlier, 60% loan to value Coventry at 1.8%, 1.85%. I remember when we were talking 4 months ago, that was 0.9.
Yeah.
So it's doubled. Yeah. And that's big. That is really big. And I think, especially with the first time buyer market, I think if you're a landlord out there and you're thinking, I tell you what, I really can't be bothered to do this anymore, which where over the past few years that's totally been the route that people have gone down, then you're going to fuel the bottom end of the market. But that doesn't solve everybody moving throughout the market, which is where the market needs to get to, which will actually only ever improve prices at the top end when less comes onto the market, because there'll be such a scrabble around for the stuff at the higher end.
Yeah. I think it's going to be crazy. I just don't know what the answer is. I don't know where we're going to go with it, but it's a really good point, well made, with the landlord element of things as well. What are you finding, Mark, with people that you're trying to help search at the moment? Are you finding people are just sort of almost giving up on their search, or are you finding people are committed to it and they're just sticking their guns in and just waiting, pouncing? Because actually the statistics showed mid-February there's 5% more properties coming to the market this year than there has been on average in the first 60 days of any year in the last 5 years. So it's not like there's less properties coming onto the market. It's just been the demand is up 70% year on year. So I don't know whether people are still sticking to the cause, or whether they're deciding I'm just going to stay put and extend, or not, as the case may be. What are you finding?
Yeah, so what I'm finding is with my my little property group, I'll give it a quick plug, Avocado Property Yateley. We're now up to 234 members. If I put a property on there, I'm inundated, absolutely inundated. I want to go and see it. I want to go and see it. When can I see it? When can I see it? If I do a ring around on a property, it's a lot more difficult. People go, oh yeah, can I see it next week? And there's an absolute difference with my property group. The members there are ready to go. Okay, and they are willing to drop everything, come and have a look. I've got 3 off markets at the moment, and we're just waiting to hear on all 3 of them. People have been around, they've had a look. I think if the right property's there at the right price, people are still up for it. I think if they're struggling because everything is overpriced, then they're just losing interest, and they're just wait. A lot of people have to move for one reason or another, and they'll wait for the right thing to come along at the right price.
So I think that answers Sanjay's question: is the market still bonkers? Well, yeah, in reality, it's still bonkers. It's still bonkers for the right places. It shows that people on social media are highly active when they're looking in the right places, and we see that through the Beat the Portals campaigns and the instant marketing we do. So yeah, it is crazy. He's saying so many buyers missing out. I feel very sorry. It's a harsh market. What is the best number one tip? Buy lots of wine and alcohol for good estate agents, I guess. No, I'm joking. the best.
We've got an anti-bribery policy for that sort of thing, Mr. Macbeth. It's not the 1990s anymore.
The sensible answer to that is communication. To buyers is to get on the mobile phone to one of us or to the estate agent that you want to befriend. There are other agents out there, believe it or not. But if you do talk to someone, say you're having a conversation with Matt and you're a local, looking to find another property, you need to get on the phone and you need to be enthusiastic. You need to be serious. You need to be committed, and you need to explain what your non-negotiables are, your reasons why you're moving. And you need to have a conversation with that estate agent that's honest and truthful of exactly what you're after. Because in reality, there is far too much control from an estate agency point of view in the buyer selling process, but there are some good agents out there that will look after you if you do the right thing. If you mess an estate agent around, you don't call and cancel an appointment. You say you're going to do X and you don't, or you say you're looking for something, you never take a look at it. You're not going to get any proactive activity from the estate agent, because why are they going to waste their time and their client's time with someone that's wasting their own? So communication is vital, but also be upfront and say what you want. That would be my number one tip, I think.
I've got a good example of that. I don't list that many properties anymore. I'm a little bit of an office-based bod now, but I'm due to list a specific house in the next 4 weeks or so. And there's 2 people who came straight into my head that I'd met them a year to 18 months ago, and they'd said, Mike, I will move for a house in this street, or this street that has this feature, and this feature. If you ever find that house, I will buy that house. and from an estate agent's point of view, I know exactly what that person's after now. And if I ever see that, the first thing that my head will go is, I know who's going to buy this house. And it means that I can offer my client who's selling that house a one-stop immediate service for them to get to where they want to go.
Yeah.
And that's a massive thing. If you're specific with your agent and say, Matt, Mark, Ian, I want to move because of this. This is my genuine, this is why I'm moving. This is what I'm moving for. The estate agent can do a better job for you. I've got a question coming from Akil on my own timeline, which hasn't popped up on our questions feed for some reason. And he's given me jip on WhatsApp for it because I'm not mentioning him. So good evening, Akil. We are listening. Akil wants to know, does Sunshine sell houses?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's that, Akil. Okay.
Yeah.
Cheers, Akil.
The reason why, to clarify, because it's relevant to how we operate as agents, marketing sells properties, regardless of what anyone says. 40% of people will definitely never buy that property. 40% of people will buy that property regardless of what's gone on because they know what they're after. The 20% in the middle is the difference. And that's where good marketing pulls people in on inquiries and bad marketing puts them off. And Sunshine can guarantee good marketing with a good photographer and a good videographer. And on the day, it's just nicer to view a house in the sun than it is in the freezing cold rain. So good vibes, good feeling. We always say people buy a property with a feeling. So does Sunshine sell houses? Absolutely. Yeah. Like it sells ice creams.
So
that's it.
Where are we?
That's
6:37. If you've lasted the 37 minutes, congratulations to you. Pop your name at the bottom and I'll send you an avocado Allen keyring if you've done all 37 minutes with us. How does that sound?
Sounds good. I'm going to comment.
None for you, Sanjay.
I didn't last the 37. I was late.
No, you didn't.
I did. I
We're out.
You got one coming your way. Love that. Good to see we're all branded tonight as well.
Yeah. On.
Yeah.
Nice to be wearing a t-shirt rather than having to be wearing a hoodie all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Totally agree.
I've been out enjoying it. It's been nice. It's been really good.
Right.
Thanks, Jen.
Hi, guys.
Nice one.
Get home for dinner. Good evening.
Bye for now.
Have a lovely evening, everyone.